Thank you all for caring so much and so well. Kelly told me that Nathan recently had a marvelous dream. Brian was there in the dream. They were in a beautiful, sparkly place where they walked through gates, saw animals, even rode on an eagle's back. Saber-toothed tiger, I think, told them that each of us have our own star. Nathan said, Daddy took me to the most beautiful place, and then he brought me back. In some ways, it seems like Brian's done that for a lot of you. I had the privilege of going to Lexington to be with Brian and many of you on his last day, and I was moved by how good and brave everyone there with him was. I was also touched by the loving and generous decision to let Brian be an organ donor. And so that next Sunday at the service at my church, as I remembered Brian, I invited everyone who had not done so already to sign the consent on the back of their Kentucky driver's license to be a donor and to sign as witnesses for each other. Looking out over the congregation, it appeared that dozens of people were doing it. Here in Indiana, you don't have that signature consent on your license. You can agree to be a donor when you get or renew your license or by going to the website Donate Life Indiana, all one word, donatelifeindiana.org. I hope you'll consider doing so, both in memory of Brian and in hope for the about 100,000 people who are currently waiting for organs to become available. The website says one donor can save the lives of up to 8 people and benefit up to 75 others. Nothing can make up for the loss of Brian's life, but Brian's loving generosity continues to make a difference in the lives of people he never knew. There were more stories than we possibly could have time for today. There's a memory basket in the other room. That's a way of making a unique gift to Brian's family, the gift of a brief story or a recollection that you can write down on a slip of paper and leave in the basket. The slips of paper will be collected and gathered into an album. I think many of you have already been doing this on Facebook and in some of the other places available on the web. On behalf of Kelly and the rest of the family, I thank you for what you've already shared. One story struck me from Mike on Facebook. Simply says, my strongest memory of Brian is when he came to my middle school on career day to let me interview him about becoming a DJ. I was just a scrawny best friend of his little brother, and he had no obligation to me whatsoever. But he not only agreed to come, he treated me and my 7th grade interest in growing up to be a DJ seriously and made me feel respected. Always kind, never condescending, and imbued with a generous nature. It makes it harder to believe he's no longer with us. The Seyer family were among the best people I've known, and my heart goes out to them. We'll do our part to keep Brian's memory and spirit alive. Charles Gaines tells us the truth when he says, no one person can sum up the life of another. Life is too precious to be passed over with mere words. Rather, it must remain as it is remembered by those who loved and watched and shared. For such memories are alive, unbound by events of birth or death. As living memories, we possess the greatest gift one person can give to another. So I urge you to be that gift for each other in the days and weeks to come. Now it's time to move on in our service. I'll invite you to a time for silence, for prayer, reflection, and your own farewells. After the silence, I'll bring us back together with words from my friend Mark Bellatini. At the hospital, I invited everyone to briefly join hands, and if you're willing to do that today, please do. Were we in a space big enough, I could have you join hands and form a circle. And as I said in the hospital, that's what we're ultimately asked to do by life, to make circles of love. Some circles are called family, some are bigger than that. And the biggest circle of love, the one that includes everyone and everything, is the one that we can call God. No matter what happens, that biggest circle of love is always there. Today, this circle is here because of Brian. And the fact that he isn't physically here right now doesn't mean he isn't a real part of the circle. His life touches this circle now and will always do so. We'll miss feeling the touch of his hand and hearing the sound of his voice. But when you feel love, you will know that Brian is still part of the circle, still part of you. Creator and sustainer of life, we are so sad to lose Brian. He should have been with us for years and years to come. But we are glad that he was with us for a lifetime, and that his spirit will echo in our lives for as long as we live. Spirit of life, if so much that is so precious can be lost so soon, help us learn to cherish what remains even more fiercely. Here in the presence of death, help us to learn once again the importance of life and the true importance which our separate lives hold for each other in times of need. And as we enter into the silence now to make our voiceless farewells, let us recognize that there is no time on this earth which is not a time of need. May we so pass through the things that are fleeting as to be richer in the things that abide. And may we so cherish the perishable beauties of life that they may be imperishably present with us. So let it be. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust, memory to memory, blessing to blessing, gratitude to gratitude, spirit to spirit, love to love. This wheel of life turns ever, and what came out of the earth returns to it in peace. Brian, we'll miss you more than anyone can ever say. We'll miss how you touched our lives with music and laughter and left us knowing that we were truly lucky to get to know someone about whom so many people could say, he always made me happy. In this time of loss, let us be reassured of the words of Dorothy Malone, who tells us, death is not too high a price for having lived. Mountains never die, nor do the seas or rocks or endless sky. Through countless centuries of time, they stay eternal, deathless, yet they never live. If choice there were, I would not hesitate to choose mortality. Whatever fate demanded in return for life, I'd give, for never to have seen the fertile plains, nor heard the winds, nor felt the warm sun on sands beside the salty sea, nor touched the hand of those I love. Without these, all the gains of timelessness would not be worth one day of living and loving, come what may. the founding minister of my congregation, the Reverend Robert Weston, urges us to remember this day, setting aside all that divides me from others. This day, remembering that the world is beautiful to the one who is willing that it be so, and that into the open, eager heart the beauty enters if love be there. This day, I will make a part of the song of life. There may be grief, but if there be love, it will be overcome. There may be pain, but it can be borne with dignity and courage. There may be difficulty, but it can be turned to strength. Remembering that the world is beautiful, if I will let it be so for others whom I meet, this day I will make a part of the song of life. In a moment, I'll bring my part of this service to an end with a benediction from George Brooks. Samuel will then play for us, and Phil Hess will close the formal part of our time together. Everyone is invited to remain here as long as you have need, and then to join in the reception and the sharing of stories in the social hall across the way. May the love that gives to life its beauty, the reverence that gives to life its sacredness, and the purposes that give life its deep significance be strong within each of us and lead us into ever-deepening relationships with each other and all of life. Amen.